Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another video. Before we get into the main bulk of the news, in the last few minutes, Star Wars Visions got an official release date, September the 22nd. As with all Star Wars projects, I will be covering it on my channel. But with all of that said, enjoy today's video. Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about some new details for The Bad Batch Season 2, some major predictions that I got right, Obi-Wan Kenobi and more. As always my dear friends, before we dive into the news, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted each and every time that I post a new video. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So we're going to begin with The Bad Batch, and before we talk about Weyland and Mount Tantiss, we're going to be speaking about a new interview with the creatives behind The Bad Batch, more specifically Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rau. On StarWars.com there's a new article that reveals some details for what we can expect in the upcoming second season. The article is titled The Creators of Star Wars The Bad Batch on Season 1's Biggest Moments and What's Next. Right from the outset, what I will say is, this is a very long interview, but there are a few gems that are worth focusing on. The first one confirms what I predicted in my full breakdown, that Crosshair got his chip removed. I saw a lot of speculation and people telling me that he might be lying, but this is not the case. StarWars.com asked, I don't know if you can answer, but I saw on Twitter that fans were debating whether Crosshair really had his chip removed or the Empire made him think he had his chip removed. Is that something you can comment on? And Jennifer Corbett replied, I think we can say that he had his chip removed. So ultimately guys, Crosshair is just a dick.
You're such a dick!
I'll show you.
Dick!
He's still mad at his brothers, but it's in his nature, just as Tech would say. The next vital detail revealed about Season 2, and this is going to tie into the next topic of this news update, is when Jennifer Corbett was asked about the final scene of Season 1 and if it's going to connect to Palpatine's ultimate contingency plan. And in the typical non-disclosure fashion, she said, well that's a fascinating theory. What we will say is, where Nala Se is, what Nala Se is doing should be a mystery to the audience, and we hope to explore that in the upcoming season. Now while this answer is very vague, this is the diplomatic and encrypted way of saying yes, but we don't want to admit it. And finally, the interview also reveals that Season 2 is going to be very plot heavy regarding the cloning side of the Empire. In this interview, Brad Rau also talks about a change in tone, and from this we can deduce that Season 2 is going to expand upon what this first season built and is going to move the story in an unexpected and new territory. It's definitely worth the read, so if you're interested in this article, go over to StarWars.com. So now my dear friends, we're going to talk about the big reveal that we got in yesterday's episode guide. It's been released for the Bad Batch finale part 2, Camino Lost, and as I predicted correctly, the forest planet at the end is confirmed to be Weyland. This information is vital for the future direction of Star Wars, and now that it's confirmed to be Weyland, I urge you to go back and watch the video I made the other day on Lucasfilm's big plan for the upcoming shows and how they connect to each other. I must say, that video aged very well.
Beautiful.
And what I suspected came true. In that video, I spoke about Weyland and how it ties into the cloning facility that we saw in The Mandalorian, Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Ahsoka series, and the eventual rise of Snoke and the return of Palpatine. This episode guide even acknowledges the similarities in the scientist's outfit and the one worn by Dr. Pershing in Mando, another parallel I made 2 days before this guide came out. So this confirms my theory that there will be a wide net of interconnectivity for the upcoming series in the Mandalorian universe and The Bad Batch Season 2. What's really interesting in this guide is the way that Weyland is spelt differently to what we've seen in the expanded universe. It's spelt here with an E, whereas the Weyland of Legends is spelt with an A. I don't think this matters too much right now, as it might be to distinguish the sort of Weyland we got in the EU compared to canon. Now I've seen a lot of people over the last few hours jump to conclusions saying that Disney are remaking the Thrawn Trilogy and that the EU is going to be canonized. Now while I do think this confirmation is promising, and while I admit that it shows Lucasfilm's willingness to canonize elements of the EU, I don't think they're going to be telling the same story from the expanded universe. They'll definitely draw upon that material, but also bring in brand new, never before seen elements as well. So I wouldn't be too quick to jump on that bandwagon, but as I say, go watch the video I made. I break it all down. What's so amazing is that Season 2 is going to take quite a dark turn. Mount Tantiss, which is now also confirmed, as well as the planet of Weyland itself, was a storehouse of dark treasures for Palpatine, dark side secrets, relics, cloning facilities, and abominations. We're going to see Nala Se work there next season, and the implications are going to be massive. Going back to the episode guide, some of this concept art is truly impressive and gives us an inside look at the Imperial facility. Let's just admire some of Chris Madden's work for a minute. Now, while we didn't see a lot of these shots in the actual episode, a lot of this concept art is going to undoubtedly be used in season 2 at some stage. It's all very beautiful, and I could look at this concept art for hours. I don't know what it is about the animation style of the Bad Batch, but it's definitely the most superior of all of the animated shows we've had so far. I've also always had a thing for forest planets in Star Wars, whether it's Endor or Corvus, Dagobah, or even Felucia. I love all of the scenery. I can already tell that Weyland is going to be a fan favourite going forward. Now, as I say, while we have to be very careful with speculation, the reintroduction of this planet is proving that Lucasfilm is willing to please EU fans. The implications of this might extend further than you think. Not only during this point in the timeline with the Bad Batch, but even in the Mandalorian universe. In the Ahsoka series, for example, which is going to have Thrawn in it, we might continue some beloved storylines from Zahn's books and draw upon that as source material. It doesn't have to be copied, as I say, but any link is more than welcome. We might even get a canon Sabaoth or even Luke's evil clone, Luke. I'm really loving this new direction, and I think season 2 is going to be an absolute banger. So finally, my dear friends, we have a big update for Obi-Wan Kenobi. We recently learned that Indira Varma and Rupert Friend had finished their scenes for Obi-Wan, but it turns out that the whole series has finally wrapped up filming. LRM Online confirmed this news last night, and they say the following: Obi-Wan Kenobi has wrapped up filming, LRM can reveal. This one had seemed likely over the weekend. Many reports came out about other cast members finishing up and heading off. It was speculated by many that this would mean that Obi-Wan has finished wrapping. Now, do bear in mind, guys, we have a promotional event by Disney Plus on November the 12th. And while we can expect some things for the Book of Boba Fett and maybe even Cassian Andor, the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi has finished wrapping means that we could get a definitive release date and maybe even a first glance, a poster, behind the scenes stuff, or something else. It's way too early for a trailer, so don't expect that, but anything like a picture would be more than welcome. Just imagine if we get some sort of poster with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen just as we saw them in 2005, reprising their roles in 2021. That would be absolutely amazing. But that, my dear friends, brings us to the end of this news update. If you guys enjoyed it, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and a huge welcome if you are, and also check out my Patreon. The link is in the description down below. But otherwise, my friends, I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.